Dear Ambassador Jakovic, dear President Umundum, dear President Delioglu, dear Mr. Lenk, Ambassador Dr. Kircheva, dear panelists, honorable ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to address you today at the Vienna Economic Forum, an event that became an important platform that fosters regional cooperation, economic ties, and solidarity. I hope that the messages we share today will resonate beyond this event, as we need to unite forces more than ever towards sustainable and prosperous Europe. The European Union has demonstrated its unwavering solidarity to help overcome unforeseen challenges in Europe and beyond during the past years. The EIB stood ready to deliver when the EU has faced joint challenges over the past decade. During the sovereign crisis and amidst the pandemic alike, the EIB was turned into a counter-cyclical economic policy instrument so that in times of a liquidity deficit, we could restart investments on the continent. Earlier this year, we have provided immediate support to Ukrainian government, and we are now teaming up with the European Commission in implementing the ambitious REPowerEU strategy that is going to fast-forward decarbonization of Europe and reduce dependency on Russian fossil fuels. The pandemic showed that united under Team Europe initiative, our action can be fast and broad-based, bringing global-scale impact in tackling one of the worst healthcare crises in the recent history. Outside the EU, the mandate for the EIB to provide loans is agreed between the European Commission, the EU Parliament, and the Council. For that, in May this year, we signed a new guarantee agreement with the European Commission to support up to 26.7 billion euro of EIB financial operations worldwide in sectors like clean energy, digital and transport infrastructure, health and education. More than two-thirds of this guarantee is planned for investments in enlargement and neighborhood countries. Following this aspiration, earlier this year, we launched a dedicated branch, EIB Global, for our operations outside of the European Union. The EIB Global is our dedicated arm, which includes a shift in our operating model, notably a reinforcement of our local presence. Under this new branch, we want to help the region benefit from the latest EU initiative, Global Gateway, aiming to mobilize up to 300 million euro for sustainable infrastructure projects across the world. This means more resources for financing and grants, more experts on the ground, fully dedicated to local projects, and more partnerships in the region together with the European Commission and our partners. This has already helped increase our support for key education, transport, and environmental protection projects in the Western Balkan region. Through this partnership approach, we are delivering substantial support to Ukraine. Since the beginning of the war, we have approved over 1.7 billion euro for Ukraine to address the most urgent financial needs and 4 billion euro for the EU countries that host Ukrainian war refugees. Along with addressing the current crisis, we have diligently continued to encourage climate, innovation and digitalization, SMEs and sustainability, which are at the heart of the EIB strategy. Accelerating these initiatives will lead to more resilient economies with higher energy and food security. We need to ensure just transition for all by coupling up climate objectives with positive socioeconomic outcomes, preventing job losses and negative impacts on most vulnerable communities. This will be done through financing, policy engagement, and technical advice and knowledge sharing. The public sector, and SMEs in particular, will also need strategic support to increase their energy efficiency and green practices, which are still not sufficiently adopted among companies in the region of VEF member countries. Analysis shows that as much as 60% of total energy savings could be achieved in the less intensive sectors. According to the EIB Bank Lending Survey for Central, Eastern and Southeastern Europe, published in June 22, credit demand is expected to remain strong but with a different composition, favoring short-term liquidity needs at the expense of fixed investments. These trends might hamper firms' investment plans, which are key drivers for their growth and competitiveness. While sovereign-backed investments will play a crucial role for connectivity and the green transition, investment needs can ultimately only be met if private sector investments are mobilized on a sufficient scale. Targeted policy measures, together with increasing their capacities and access to finance, are the right way forward in tackling global challenges. Companies and public sector alike need massive financing support to become greener, more digitalized and innovative. To help mobilize more funds and expertise to meet all current and future challenges, we see partnerships are the right way forward. In this regard, facilitating the public-private partnerships through technical support to get the projects off the ground will also be one of our priorities. They can contribute to the development of public infrastructure and services, as well as to facilitate SMEs access to finance for investments in digital and green transition areas, sustainable cities, and human development. They can also help bridging the current fiscal gaps for the key infrastructure and private sector projects. The already mentioned challenges call for technological innovations and new approaches to ensure just transition and even access to resources. They also require innovative financial instruments to help develop the capital markets and support the private sector with increased access to finance, also with venture debt instruments and guarantees. EIB is supporting central banks in greening financial systems and commercial banks in green bond issuance, as well as through initiatives to provide local currency and blended finance. We have also introduced innovative credit lines with social and climate component to help companies move forward with climate and energy efficient projects and expand their workforce by employing people from vulnerable social groups. We have good examples of such cooperation with our host today, Raiffeisen Bank International, and their branches in several countries in the region. Let me conclude by saying that at this grave time for the world that threatens to disrupt the very foundations of our lives and economies, the only way forward is to advance with all activities that ensure a sustainable future for all. The EIB Group, together with the European Commission and other local partners, can play a decisive role in supporting the energy security, green transition, and competitiveness of the regional economies. We look forward to support our partners in the region and to discuss with you all possibilities for overcoming the existing challenges with our advisory and available financial support. Thank you very much for your attention.